How's it going, everyone? Jay here with LMR.com. In today's video, we're going to be going over the removal and installation of SVE's new 200 amp alternator upgrade on all of your 1994 and 1995 GT and Cobra models. There's nothing worse than having a subpar charging system on your Mustang. This can cause many different issues, including idling problems, dimming lights, or even a no-start condition. The 94-95 Mustangs came equipped from the factory with an upgraded 130 amp alternator. These models came equipped with an electric fan, unlike the Fox chassis. But with the addition of high-output ignition systems or even upgraded stereo equipment, this only added to some of the limitations of the factory setup. To handle the increased demand of aftermarket accessories, SVE has put together a 200 amp alternator kit to supply your accessories with the power they demand. This kit from SVE will be offered in a standard satin finish and is also available in a black option as well. With this kit, you will get the upgraded 200 amp alternator and the 4-gauge power wire. When installed with the supplied alternator pulley and the stock crank pulley, this unit will produce about 100 amps at idle and just over 200 at peak under a load. To safely protect the circuit from an additional output of this alternator and suppress audio noises through your electrical system, SVE provides a 10-foot section of 4-gauge power wire with a pre-installed inline fuse. Let's head over to our 95 GT here in the shop to show you what's involved. First, go ahead and open your hood and support it with your prop rod. Next, disconnect both the positive and the negative battery terminals. Now you can remove the stock airbox from the car. You will have your main clamp at the throttle body and the 8mm bolt on the fender. Remove the inlet tube at the throttle body location. Remove the grommet from the fender. Disconnect the vent tube going to the oil fill nipple. Make sure to disconnect the mass airflow sensor when removing the airbox. Pull up on the airbox to release this from the studs on the lower frame rail. Using a 3/8 inch drive ratchet and extension, loosen the belt tensioner and remove the belt. Go ahead and set the belt aside. If your vehicle is still equipped with the air injection tube bracket, remove the 10mm bolt on the bracket at this time. Locate both of the retaining bolts holding the alternator to the bracket. The lower bolt will be a 15mm and the top bolt will be a 13mm. Remove both of these at this time. Using a flat-bladed screwdriver or pry bar, dislodge the alternator from the factory bracket. Flip the alternator over and locate the stator and regulator plugs, as well as the factory power wire. Remove the cover on the main battery lug, and then remove the 10mm nut holding this in place. Using a small flat-bladed screwdriver, pull up on the tabs and remove these from the alternator. Take this time to check over your regulator and stator connections. If these are damaged or broken, we have you covered. Be sure to check out the links in the description below if you need to replace these. Before reinstallation of the alternator, take a small hammer and lightly tap the bolt retainer towards the front of the vehicle. This will allow the alternator to go in much easier. Now we will move to the installation of the upgraded 4-gauge power wire. Start off by mocking the wire and route this along the inner fender and across the bulkhead in the car. Make sure that the fused end is closest to the alternator. Slide up the cover on the fuse junction box and remove the nut on the lug. And then go back in with the new 4-gauge power wire at this time. Make sure to tighten down the nut. Once you are happy with the placement, you can install your fuse box. We found that the inner strut tower was a good flat surface to put this one on. You can either bolt this one down using a few self-starting screws or some 3M double-sided tape. On our application, we did not want to make any extra holes, so we opted to use a 3M tape here. Make sure to press firmly to ensure a secure bond on the fuse holder. Now you can set your alternator back in the bracket. Start by installing your stator plug, the voltage regulator plug, Now you can reinstall your factory power cable and the aftermarket 4-gauge power cable to the lug on the back of the alternator. Reinstall the 10mm nut at this time. Line up the holes and install the upper and lower bolts. Tighten these down to spec. Also, take this time to reinstall the 10mm bolt back on the air injection pump bracket. Reinstall the serpentine belt. Slowly work your way backwards on the new power wire and zip tie this every 6 to 8 inches. We also chose to take a few extra feet of convoluted tubing and clean up the wiring on this car. This is not necessary, but these small details can really clean up your install. Reinstall the airbox and make sure to fully seat the studs and the grommet locations on the inner frame rail. Reinstall the rubber grommet and the 8mm bolt in the fender. Go ahead and install your vent tube back in place at this time. Tighten down your main clamp located at the throttle body. Reconnect your mass airflow connector. Reconnect both of your battery terminals. Check over all your work and you are all done. Well everyone, this one is an awesome upgrade for any 94-95 5-liter Mustang. Install time should roughly take you about an hour from start to finish with basic hand tools. If you like what you've seen here today, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Also, turn on notifications and make sure that you are up to date with all new tech related videos like this one. And as always, keep it here with the real Mustang enthusiasts at LMR.com.